back to where back to where I left off. Sorry, I was a bit rambunctious there. So when it comes to like me and like how I want to talk about like what I want to do my personality, I'm off the wall sometimes, and I'm definitely the mood that I have right now dictates how I will be in an extreme way. Not like if I and I know like certain boundaries obviously, like if I'm pissed off, then I'm not gonna be like exerting that anger towards other people, but it can still happen. I'm not gonna deny that. And it's kind of one of those things. When it comes to my personality, you know I realize I can do a lot with the idea of a bound to channel project if I interject my own voice. Like it's like watching The Throne, but it's like the one song's version of watching The Throne. I guess instead of it being based off one album, it's based off one song, and that's even better. I get to have less of an impact, and that's really good. But no, when it comes to like how I want to, talk, how I want to like act, dress, do all this sort of shit, I am like very rambunctious. Like if I want to do something, I kind of get some energy from Ye where I just want to do it, but I still, unlike Ye, it's not. I think Ye has these issues too, where he thinks and he's like, considering should I or should I not, and that thought definitely is something that comes up more frequently on me because to me at least I'm not really proving much. It's more for my enjoyment of life. It's not really for art right now. Even though I am making two projects going to come out on like sometime in March, and I can tell you that later. It's going to be coming out not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. It's going to come out on that date, and it's going to be on e.jda. Okay, EDOTJDOT. I make music over there. You can search it up and you'll find a couple songs. One of them is there's this noise track I made called FLP to VEG, but there's a couple other like singles, Fearful House, Sexy Back and Scratching, all this sort of shit. So my plug aside, I'm gonna take that plug out because, I word that improperly. You know what I mean? I'm boasting about myself right now because I really like talking not to myself. Well, I'm talking to myself, but I'm not. I'm not talking to my ego or even to my personality. I just like talking about my thoughts, my collective fate, like being. You know, I really love talking about what I want to talk about, and sometimes it is about myself. It's just that I don't want to be a fucking egomaniac about it. I don't want to have to like feel, you know, I don't want to. I don't want to make other people in the room uncomfortable because I'm out here doing that shit. And if I fail like I am, I'll always make jokes on myself because being self-aware is worse than being an asshole. At the very least. Maybe it's a weird sort of statement that I'm making, but this is just kind of all in the moment, right? You know, I make these sort of statements with my friends and all that, and then like sometimes I'm like, yeah, it was kind of weird, but I like saying them anyway because it gives me the right way of feeling free. I want to be free, of course, just speaking my mind, even if my mind's fucking weird sometimes. But I don't always say everything, and sometimes that really frustrates me. Sometimes I was frustrated a couple weeks ago, and I was very, very fucking frustrated because of that sort of reason. Like, um, when my PC stopped, all I've really been looking at when it came to social media that I use, because I'm not using Discord, that's my main platform of what I talk to. I use YouTube and Twitter. And I don't actually use Twitter in the sense that everyone else uses it. I just use it to just kind of talk about whatever I want to talk about. And there are certain things that if I talk about too much on Twitter, I feel like I get more of a negative response. Now, I should probably mention, I don't believe in the whole shit with like... So, cancel culture is a buzzword, but at the same time, a lot of it is hype. It's kind of like fear-mongering of sort. Twitter is not a villain in the same way that Tumblr was the cringe lord. It's just sites get these sort of reputations because of other people just not liking the general aspect and community of a certain site. Is Twitter's community shit? That's something that I can't say yes or no to. For me, well, it's not something that I can be objective about. Subjectively, I would say that there are a lot of shit that comes out of Twitter, but for me, that's not. It's comparable to the shit that I see everywhere else, like YouTube, like um, again, like YouTube, but generally, I see this all over, in different places and different sites. It's just that people don't share them as much because that's not the general culture, and that's what the feed promotes. Twitter does promote that type of stuff, and I can't really deny that. When someone gets trending, a lot of it's political shit, or someone got canceled, you know? That's how it is. But I don't think it's really Twitter's fault. And it's like, people make Twitter the villain, as if Twitter as a site has any more effect on your life than YouTube. Like, all the people, you know, think of it like this. If I got fucking, like, canceled on YouTube, would that have more of an effect than getting canceled on Twitter? They're comparable to me, in my opinion. You know, I think that when multiple sites speak about you in a certain way, or even the news, it can be devastating. But that's not something that's related to one site. It's like the boogeyman Twitter is just out here trying to assassinate people or some shit, and I don't believe in that type of stuff. Now there goes a lot of my. See, I'm speaking my thoughts, and you don't have to agree with everything I'm saying, because I don't want to have that mentality. You can disagree with what I'm saying, because disagreement is a way of saying that at the very least, can respect you, even if we disagree. If you want to be vocal about your shit, you can be vocal about it, because I have nothing to stop you on. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to stop you on? Is it because I have hurt feelings? Is it because you're gonna say some mean shit? You're gonna make an insult? You make a good insult to me, I can't deny that it was a good insult. Man, I'm fucking spazzing out and shit. I'm gonna go back to doing comments, alright? Yeah. Now I only have I only 3 to 5 minutes before Mobazin will stop again, so I'll talk about this comment right here. So, Kanye got you trapped in your own game. The video was bad, I can't deny that, but he made the video so bad you can't stop watching it, and it's the most watchable video because of how bad it is. Now, I discussed this yesterday, and it's kind of halfway where I didn't discuss it, but I can say this. I watched the Breakfast Club 2013 interview with Kanye today, because I hadn't actually watched the full little interview of it, but I got very intrigued because I saw a clip of Charlemagne going. It was a clip from The Most Unruly. That was a channel I was trying to say earlier that I was taking inspiration from. But I saw a clip from Yeezus that they used on their documentary, where it was like, we don't want to hear you talk about fashion and shit. We just want to hear you make good music. And I was like, damn, what the fuck is going on over here? To be fair, I overhyped myself a little bit. It wasn't as bad, but they definitely had more of a self-interest. Charlemagne was, talking about. He brought up some good, decent points, and everyone else brought some good, decent points, just as Kanye brought some own decent points. It was just funny hearing that comment, especially with Kanye's attitude, and I'd argue with a lot of people's attitude, to be like, you should stick to one thing, is a very frustrating thing for me to hear. It's very frustrating. Anyways, because he knows the algorithm, that he just reverse psychology most of us. I mean, I guess this is YouTube's jargon. It's all about the algorithm. And I guess that is fair. You get viral through this. This was pretty viral. But I think it's more of just finding a way to get your name out there, which, is viralness, but is also, networking, marketing. There's a lot more that goes into it than just the algorithm. But that's a bit of a nitpick. That's why he's a genius, because he faking out of the box, and everything he did, he came with a plan, came with a reason, cracking the code, and he did it. I mean, he kind of just does what he wants to, and if people don't want to tell this, he's gonna try to do it. So screw all you haters. Nonetheless, he knows the consequences of it. I think he might also admit how bad the video is. Yes, I always find this interesting, especially now in 2022. The video is meant to be bad. It's meant to be a poor green screen, because he when he in that Breakfast Club interview, he worded it as he wanted. It was like a what was it, like a nerdy white hat, right? But in my like brain, I see it as intentionally being poor, because I feel that represents the song. The song isn't a lot of the Yeezus character is exaggerated, even if it comes from an emotional place. Some of it is more grounded, like New Slaves, but Bound 2 is a closer that's related to them and Kim, but is not really directly saying anything that them and Kim did, at least to my knowledge. Maybe I'm a bit dumb on that part, but it's more about it's more about the experience and the idea behind the song as this exaggerated thing. But there's a reason for that, and he successfully did. Yep, there is a reason for that. I'm gonna do a couple more of these. Biggest clown in history. This ratio ain't. Get the fuck out of here with this ratio shit. What a. You know. Ooh. I'm gonna. I'm gonna stop now, and then I'm gonna record what I was gonna say.